This is Daddy from Busy Daddy Cooks. Today, we are not making our usual recipe videos. Instead, we'll talk about something that's far more important, and that's food safety. We've all gotten sick from food that was not prepared properly, and we don't want our family to go through that. My daughter went through 2 major surgeries, once when she was 4 and another time when she was 5. As a result, she has special needs now and a compromised immune system. She had food poisoning once and she went into a coma for about a day. So, this topic of food safety is pretty close to my heart. If you handle food in a commercial setting, you'll probably have some kind of food safety training. But for us home cooks, we seldom have that kind of training. For us home cooks, we most likely rely on 3 guidelines, or what I call the 3 C's. Common sense, conviction, which is belief that what we do is true, and convenience. Usually, it's the convenience that override the other 2. So, today I'm going to give you some good kitchen practices and food safety tips. Tip number 1, defrost your meats properly. There are 3 ways to properly defrost your meats. 1 is in the chiller, 2 is in a microwave, and the 3rd one is to submerge it in water. Let's start with the chiller. The chiller is the preferred way to defrost your meats. Set your chiller between 0 to 4 degrees Celsius. And always use a tray to catch all the juices that are produced when you're defrosting. Also, always defrost your meats at the lowest part of your fridge. This is because if any of the juices should leak, you don't want it to contaminate your other foods. As you can see here, my chiller is at the top layer of my fridge. So it's all the more important that I use a box or a tray to catch the juices. The second way of defrosting is to use your microwave. Now, modern microwaves have a defrost setting, so it's pretty easy to do that. And the third way to defrost is to submerge your meats in water. If you were to choose this method, always change the water every 30 minutes. Notice I did not say leave your food on the counter or the sink at room temperature. This is because it takes too long for the food to defrost, and as the food gets warmer, bacteria will grow. Bacteria doubles every 30 minutes. Tip number 2, prevent cross-contamination. Our modern kitchen isn't very big, and we usually use the same space to prepare our raw and our cooked food. So what's important here is that you clean and sanitize the area after you prepare your raw food, before you prepare your cooked food. Also, do not put your raw and your cooked food together. Prepare them separately. Tip number 3, chopping boards. In a commercial setting, all chopping boards are color-coded. You have red for raw meats, green for vegetables, yellow for cooked meats, blue for seafood, and white for breads and cheeses. But for the home, you will need only 2 chopping boards. One for raw food and another for cooked food. Now, what's important is that you do not use only one chopping board and use one side for raw and the other side for cook. Your food will get contaminated this way. Tip number 4, look out for signs of food spoilage. There are 5 signs to look out for to see if your food has spoiled. First is color. If it changes in color, do not eat it. Second, odor. If it changes in smell, do not eat it either. Third, if your food is slimy, it's spoiled, so do not eat that either. And 4, if it's sour, in a not so good way, do not eat it. And lastly, you will often see gas production in bloated packaging. So, if your packaging is bloated, throw it away. Tip number 5, signs of cooked food. You often hear in recipes, cook till it's done. But how do you know when it's done? Here are several signs to look out for to make sure that your food is done. First, cook your meats till it's no longer pink. So, always cut and look on the inside to make sure that the meat is cooked. Secondly, make sure the juices run clear. If you see a little bit of red, cook it for a longer time. Third, for all liquid foods, make sure you bring them to a complete boil and boil them for at least several minutes. And lastly, for fish and seafoods, make sure there's a change in color and there's a change in texture. So, the 5 things you should do for food safety if you're not already doing it is: first, use the proper defrosting method. 2, to prevent cross-contamination, do not prepare your raw and your cooked foods together. Third, also about cross-contamination, do not use the same chopping board for your raw and your cooked meats. Fourth, you should recognize the signs of food spoilage. And lastly, know when your food is cooked. If you have found this information helpful, a sub and a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. It will help this channel out a lot and it will help me make more videos like this. And I'll see you in my next recipe video.